Rudy Giuliani with America's Mayor Live on this Holy Thursday evening. And to all of you who celebrate and commemorate Holy Thursday, blessings. This is the evening on which we remember the Last Supper. God leaving for us his body and blood so that he can help us find our salvation. And of course, it was also the night of his betrayal by Judas Iscariot, and even in a small way by his number one man, Simon Peter, who became the first leader of the flock, although he denied him 3 times before the night was out, before the cock crowed. Quite an evening, quite a gospel, quite a passion that's read on Holy Thursday. And of course, quite a ceremony when the Pope or the priest washes the feet of 12 people in commemoration of what Jesus did, to humble himself and to show that it's humility that brings us salvation, not arrogance. Pretty good lesson, huh? Well, today I was extraordinarily proud to be a supporter of Donald Trump. I'm just going to tell you that. I thought I could have cried, actually, because I know maybe more than most, and only those maybe in the police family know this. I know what it meant to that family to have the President of the United States come and honor their son. Oh, it's not going to bring their son back, and it's not going to lift the grief, and it's not going to do this or do that or whatever. But here's what it's going to do. It's going to add to the meaning of the young man's life in a very special way. That'd be true probably even if Joe Biden had the courage and the energy to go out there, even if they didn't like the president, the fact that the president honored their son. But of course, it means even more that it's a president that I'm certain they admire tremendously. They invited him, went out of their way to invite him. And he came all the way from here and went up there, went to a funeral home that unfortunately I know very, very well in Massapequa. Can't tell you how many times I was in that funeral home for Officer Diller's brothers and sisters, mostly, also friends. I live not terribly far from there. And I want to play what he said, just a short piece, because part of the reason I'm so proud of him is he did not politicize the event one bit. Doesn't mean I'm not, because I'm really mad. And not only am I mad, I believe that we don't have a moment to spare because our country's been taken from us and we got to get it back through the electoral process. We have to get it back. And people have to see every indication they can of what it would be like under one man who would save America and the man who's destroying America. But let's listen to Donald Trump on the subject of this hero officer who, remember, while he was shot, or as he was shot, he reached for the man's gun and pulled it away from the animal who attempted to kill him, and probably prevented that murderer from murdering someone else, his partner. Let's listen.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I want to thank Bruce and all of the people that have worked so hard to make this area beautiful and safe. It's such a horrible thing, and it's happening all too often, and we're just not going to let it happen. We just can't. 21 times arrested, this thug. The person in the car with him was arrested many times, and they don't learn because they don't respect. They're not given the respect. The police are the greatest people we have. There's nothing and there's nobody like them, and this should never happen. I just visited with a very beautiful wife that now doesn't have her husband. Just incredible. Their child, brand new, beautiful baby, sitting there innocent as can be, doesn't know how his life has been changed. The only thing we can say is maybe something is going to be learned. We've got to toughen it up. We've got to strengthen it up. And it's an honor for me to be here. This is a great family, the Diller family. I met the friends, and I met every one of them inside, and these are just incredible people that are just devastated. They're devastated. They've got a tough road. It's going to be a very tough road. So thank you very much, everybody.
That's a president. It's a leader. That's a person who can reach in and find a real emotion and feeling, not a psychopath. A good man, a decent man who's brought up good children. I know his ability to be charitable, and I know what he's done here, which he's got to explain. I'm not allowed to, or won't, because I've known him for a long time. This was a horrible, horrible killing. And that this psychopath who's in the White House, and I'm going to show you that he's a psychopath tonight, can be off at Radio City Music Hall raising money. I'm going to guarantee you, if I look at that list of people giving him 10 or 100 grand or whatever the hell it is, almost every one of them probably contributed to the cop killing organization Black Lives Matter. I mean, the top guy that gave money to Biden last time was the top guy who funded the cop killer Black Lives Matter. Now you say, why do I call it cop killer Black Lives Matter? Because that's what it is. All you got to do is read their literature, or all you have to do is go to one of their protests that always turns into a riot, despite the corrupt press. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. That's kill cops. You wonder why it's gone up since 2020? Huh? You go hobnob with them on a night that this man is lying in a casket, having been shot and killed because of your policies, the policies of your decrepit political party, the party of slavery, now the party of criminals against the police. You all bowed down to Black Lives Matter. I remember a couple of the fat idiots couldn't even bow. You kneeled to Black Lives Matter, to the cop killers. What the hell do you think that signal was, Biden? All your little henchmen, Schumer, the turncoat, and you're hobnobbing tonight, and you haven't called the family yet, and your idiot, lying little creep that comes on every night and lies for you, doesn't remember the name of the police officer today, doesn't have the decency to mention the name of the police officer, just like you couldn't get Laken Riley's name correct. It's not Lincoln, dopey. And you've never apologized for that, you psychopathic moron. You've never even apologized for that. You apologized to the rapist murderer. Why the hell do you think we're out of control in this country? Because of you, Biden. And it's because of all the stupid people you convinced to vote for you, who you brainwashed and who you conned by hiding the hard drive. Gosh, I hope they've awakened. What do we need to awaken them? How many more have to die because of you? The 13 in Afghanistan. You go to their ceremony at the air base. Huh? I mean, if you weren't the president, somebody would have socked you in the nose, I think. I think one of those fathers would have punched you in the nose. I don't think you can fight, Joe, for all your bullshit. I think I know why you're a psychopath. I know why you're a psychopath because I knew your classmate. Told me you were the dumbest kid in class. You probably had that hanging on you forever. Dumbest kid in class, Joe Biden. Little moron. That's what I always thought of you when I made believe I didn't because I had to deal with you for President Reagan. Unfortunately, I didn't know you were a crook. Otherwise, I'd have tried to prosecute you when I was U.S. attorney. So there they are, Radio City Music Hall, with all these, the names there, every single one of these people are Black Lives Matter ass lickers. Every single one of them. Every single one of those talents there. Talent. Talent. And the three presidents, Epstein's best friend, right? Bill Clinton, Epstein's best friend. He's supporting you. That's a good reason not to vote for you. Here's another one. The guy who was trained to be a communist when he was a kid, who turned out to turn over millions and millions of dollars to the worst terrorist nation in the world, who used some of that money to kill Americans. That's the other guy who's supporting you, Prince Obama. Now, that should get everybody in America to vote against you. You got two guys there who probably, said it. I think Clinton is the one who corrupted the whole damn thing. Well, don't think we ever had, until you, a bigger scoundrel in the White House than that guy, selling the Lincoln bedroom, raping Haiti, taking money for that foundation. He got away with it because, like you, he was a Democrat. He knew he was a crook. He was a crook when he was governor. All they cared about is making hundreds of millions. And then Hillary sold us out left and right and to Russia, every place she could. We sending 20% of our plutonium to Russia. They got a big contribution. You know the country that donated the most money to the Clinton Foundation? Take a guess. You have to be a real rich country, right? Try Ukraine on for size. Biggest donor to the crooked Clinton Foundation. That's another story. One I know. You're going to get it before the election's out. But you think the corruption started with Joe? You don't think Barack and Clinton set the path? Well, Clinton did. Clinton was a crook, right? Everybody go to Little Rock and ask about when he was governor. He and Hillary were taking money for probably changing street signs. I mean, I'm not saying they were high-class crooks then. They were trailer trash crooks. And then they became international scoundrels like you. Baltimore Bridge. We're going to get to that in a moment. I do want to complete one other thing, though, on the officer. I just personally, myself, want to say to the family again, I love you. I love you. I love that brother-in-law of yours, Officer Diller. I mean, I don't have any brothers-in-law, but if I did, it'd be you. What you said about taking care of that, the kid, beautiful. That's what actually needed. You hit the thing that's needed, the thing that's the toughest. It's going to be very tough for everybody in the family. And for the wife, just married, beautiful couple. But nothing will compare to the loss of that little boy, of a dad, and quite a dad. Not just a dad, but look at this guy. Look at this guy. As he was being shot, he pulled the gun away from this bum. I would think his partner, I don't have to say it, I know it. His partner has to love him. I would. I know police officers whose lives were saved by other police officers. Some of them have been on the show. They don't brag about it. They don't talk about it. They just do it because they're real men and women, not like the people at Radio City Music Hall. Scum. Hollywood scum. The reason this country is in the terrible state that it's in, because they've destroyed our morals, taken God away, take parents away. All communist agenda, also core mission of Black Lives Matter, to which they gave millions and millions, stolen by Patrisse Cullors. You don't hear anything about that. They're not even prosecuted. Nobody even searches and looks at their books. Nobody ever looked at Sharpton. Well, Sharpton burned his place down once when the IRS wanted his books. Anybody ever look at Jesse Jackson? Come on. You got to be a moron not to know what he was doing, right? We need a country in which there's one standard for all of us. That's how we were brought up. That's what we're yearning for. It doesn't make any difference if you're black or white. It doesn't make any difference. Whatever the history. I don't know. There's a movie we talked about the other day on my radio show about the first Roman Catholic saint in America, Mother Cabrini. She had to fight discrimination against Italians, second most lynched group in American history. But you don't go back to that. Oh, it gives you strength that you got through it. People got through it. Damn it. Don't take them back. You racist pigs are taking them back. They're way better than the way you present them in that critical race theory, right from Karl Marx. If you're literate, I'm not counting that most of these people are literate. You think those Hollywood people read? Oh, they don't even have people read to them, like Joe. Now, we had a bridge collapse, okay? It was a terrible thing. I don't know the cause of it yet. I'm not going to go into a lot of speculation about it. I do know it gives me no confidence when I hear little Petey go on radio and say that that container ship would have taken down any bridge in America. If that's the case, Petey, what the hell have you been doing as transportation? What do we need you for? If in fact every single bridge in America is vulnerable to what happened in Baltimore, then what the hell are we letting these ships go through for? Or why aren't we fixing the bridges? Or why aren't we telling people that? Or why do we have them make that unbelievably difficult turn? If it's as dangerous as you say, that turn has got to be gross negligence. I mean, I know a little bit about harbors. We have a big harbor in New York. Used to be a really important harbor until the mafia killed it. Tell you that story sometime too. I got too many stories, unfortunately, and they're real, unlike Biden's.
Well, let's walk. Here's some video of the bridge collapse, Mayor, if you want to narrate.
Well, you can see the ship. There it is. It's probably the propulsion's gone right now because all the lights are out, right? It may get it back at the very end there because remember, look, it's trying to make a little shift away. The call has already been made. Thank God and thank you for making the call to the police officer. I think you saw maybe there'll be one more car. I'm not sure. There it goes. That's the last car to go over, I'm pretty sure, because of the two unbelievably heroic cops. I wish we had their names. Oh, no, one more. Wow. That was close. Now keep watching the bridge. Keep watching it. He's trying to avoid it. Look, he's trying his best to avoid it. And then he's going to hit the stanchion. And it looks like the minute he hits it, it goes right down. Unfortunately, 6 workers, right? Is it 6 workers? Or was it 8? I don't remember exactly.
8, but 2 were.
Oh, okay. That's right. So 2 were recovered right away. They swam out of there. Well, God bless them. 1 went to the hospital. 1 went home. We got a tough guy there. I like to meet him. I like tough guys. He went home. Yeah. Oh yeah, hon. I was in this little problem at work last night. Yeah, what are you watching on television? Imagine. Then so it's that's right. It's 8 workers who I think were on break. They were actually having a theoretical lunch break. You got to turn it around when you work nights, and bam, they went in the water. 2 saved. 2 were taken out today. 2 were found. Their bodies were found, which is some help. No, I know that really, really well from September 11. I never understood it as well as I learned it through September 11, how important it is to recover your loved one. Kind of knew it through my mom too. And well, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
The new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
We are right back. And I was telling people that right before this show now on X is 2 hours of probably one of the best radio people, television people, commentators in America, Joe Pagliarulo. And I've been on Joe's show innumerable times, and it's one of the best interviews, one of the most comprehensive, understandable. Did a special thing on organized crime with him. Joe Pags is on from 6 to 8, and at the end of the show, he asked people to listen in to us, and I'm going to, in retrospect, tell you to listen in to him tomorrow. And then I'm going to see if we can do a couple of home and homes series where I can be on his show and he can be on mine. And because I got to tell you, I've always found him to be one of the best. I mean, hands down, one of the very best interviewers. And you're going to, if you don't know him, you probably do. If you don't know him, you'll be amazed. I just want to point out one more time. I know I can't get off the subject, but this 21-time, now 22-time arrested career criminal should be in prison. If I can guarantee you, if I were the mayor of New York and things hadn't been changed by Cuomo and this unbelievably stupid person I'm going to quote in a few minutes, and the whole group of Biden Democrats in New York, this guy be in jail. In any reasonable place other than New York and California, a guy with 22 arrests would be, 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. You remember that? That was career criminal. You know where that came from? The Attorney General's Task Force Report on Violent Crimes. You know who managed that? I did. And I managed it and I practiced it and I brought down crime, brought down murders by 70%? More than any mayor in the history of the world, certainly the history of America. It all came out of that learning and that process. So this career criminal should have been in jail. He's only out because of Democrat policies, not our policies, not mine, not ones that Republicans utilize in their cities and states. 22 arrests, you're gone. I think this guy's got an attempted murder arrest. The other guy's got 14. He has a nickname too, Killer. Good nickname, huh? There's something going here. I mean, there's a reason we don't know yet why this guy pulled out a gun and shot and killed a cop. He didn't do it because he was speeding, right? In fact, they were sitting in front of the store for quite some time, the electronics store for quite some time. We don't know exactly why the officers approached him. We don't know, and we don't know at all why Rivera grabbed the gun. Basically, the officer went up to him, asked him to come out. I don't know if the guy rolled up the window. I think he did. He might have rolled up the rest of the window. Probably looked a little like he was going to lock himself in, but instead he did the exact opposite. Opened the door and immediately shot the police officer. Police officer Diller immediately grabbed his gun and took it away from him, struggled with him a bit until he collapsed. And as a result of that, he gave his partner a chance to shoot him. I think Rivera's still alive. Yeah. They both went to Jamaica Hospital and the police officer was dead and Rivera was alive. Sometimes life isn't fair, right? But God has a plan. The ex-con who was with him claims he was a hitchhiker. These guys are worse. These guys are like Biden. They just lie and lie and lie and lie. Now, you're going to say, oh, that's terrible. You're saying that about Biden. Lie and lie and lie. I'm going to play his history to you, because today on I'll get the name of the station that it was on, but there was an interview with young people, and the young people were asked, what do you think of the fact that Joe Biden, which we're also going to see, said that he went over that bridge, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, many times by train and car. As you probably, when I asked Ted what's wrong with that when he came in, he hadn't heard it. He said, well, there probably is no train on that bridge. Never has been in years. Never been a train on the bridge. So he's lying again, right? But he's lying to elevate himself. But he doesn't do it once. He doesn't do it twice. He's been doing it since he's a baby. That's mental illness, my friends. That's not just he's a liar. So these young people were asked about it, and they said, oh, he's just an old man. Like Herc said, just an old man. Not just an old man. He's a dangerous old man. He gets people killed, this old man. And then they were shown his early lies. And they said, oh, my God, he should never have been president. Same people. I'm going to show you his early lies. It's worth watching this. You probably know some of this. Maybe you don't. Every American should see this a couple of times before they vote. Well, let's play it, Ted.
At about 1:30, container ship struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which I've been over many, many times commuting from the state of Delaware, either on a train or by car.
Well, first of all, he sounded like he was drunk. He did. If you listen to the rest of it, he sounds like he's drunk. Well, that's the dementia, or the medicine for the dementia. Second, there's never been a train going over the Francis Scott Key Bridge. That's a small point. It would be for you or me, but for a man who probably lies about 20 times a day, let's go back. Let's go way back.
Joseph Biden today faces a controversy. 3 weeks ago at a debate at the Iowa State Fair, he used phrases identical to those delivered by British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Biden seemed to be claiming Kinnock's vision and life as his own.
Why is it that my wife is sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Gladys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania don't come up after 12 hours and play football.
8 hours underground and then come up and play football.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
There was no platform upon which they could stand.
The notion that every thought or notion or idea you'd have to go back and find and attribute to someone, I think is, quite frankly, ludicrous.
The problem here is that Senator Biden told his audience he'd just been thinking about these things, and he failed to give any credit at all to his famous British speechwriter.
You know, I was thinking on the way over here. Now that's a little too much, because as you point out, what's behind the words? What's there? And a lot of people, the rap on Biden has always been that it's just a surface.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
But CBS News found a tape of a second instance.
It reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy about what the gross national product cannot measure.
It cannot measure the health of our children.
The health of our children.
the quality of their education,
the quality of their education,
the joy of their play,
or the joy of their play.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, all without credit.
Joseph Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said it was a mistake, but that it was unintentional.
He quoted 5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
He was given an F.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
To the political community in Washington, it all seems of a piece. Plagiarism at law school, plagiarism on the stump.
The great communicator. Strike that. The great imitator.
You don't steal verbatim, or when you do, as he did 99% of the time, you give credit.
Biden's critics say he sells himself as a man whose words and visions can inspire a new generation in politics. But if the thoughts, phrases, and visions really belong to others, it's a form of false advertising.
Is it a wise idea, though, to take something that personal, anyway, from another politician and try and appropriate it to your own campaign?
I think it was a stupid thing to appropriate material that was really very personal, that was someone else's.
Most people didn't know who he was, you know, Joe Biden, and now they're going to say, oh yeah, he's the guy who plagiarized.
That's a lot of people.
Politically, that's devastating.
These clips are devastating. He looks like a Joe Biden wind-up doll with somebody else's words coming out.
If they're going to do things that are stupid as well as immoral, then they're probably too dumb to have the job of president.
Voters are going to have to decide whether he was dishonest or dumb.
Senator Joseph Biden may have more explaining to do.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and, in fact, ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
And I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Joe Biden was victimized by the truth.
Bye-bye Biden. He may not know it yet, but I think this is going to be very difficult for him to recover.
Is Joe Biden dead meat, yes or no?
I think so.
Bob?
It's in terminal condition.
Terminal. Eleanor?
Yes, unless he comes in third in Iowa.
Morton?
Dying.
I say dead. We'll be right back.
Are lies about he plagiarized some. This is not my original thought. It goes back to then. Somebody said he didn't plagiarize Neil Kinnock. He plagiarized his life. He plagiarized Neil Kinnock's life. His family were not coal miners. They weren't that poor. They were middle class. He wasn't the first to go to college. None of the things that he said about applied to him. So he didn't just plagiarize like a piece of paper, like the Harvard crooked president, but he plagiarized the guy's life. He was a kid then, just getting started. Should have ended then, ended. Should never have been reelected by the people of Delaware. What did you pay you off to elect him? You reelect that bum? I mean, that's a complete piece of crap. Then it never changed. I mean, it never changed. It just kept going and going and going and going. Now, I say that he is, without doubt, without question, without anybody that I think could dispute it, a pathological liar. That's a mental illness. It's a mental illness. He's, in addition to being demented, in addition to be a world-class crook, he's got some form of a mental illness, because the kind of lying that he does is habitual. It's insane. It's insane. I mean, just to bring it up to date, just a couple. I watched Franklin Roosevelt read the funny papers. Franklin Roosevelt was dead before there was television, and it was Fiorello LaGuardia who read the funny papers. Okay. I gave my uncle the Purple Heart because my father reminded me of it at my vice presidential inauguration. And I worked hard and I got it, and we did a ceremony with my uncle in the White House. Problem is, his father and his uncle were dead for 5 and 7 years before he became vice president. He repeated that twice or 3 times. My son died in action in Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever the hell he's trying to lie and ingratiate himself to people and insulting them and hurting them. His son didn't die in action. His son died 6 years after he was in action. Terrible that his son died. It's terrible that he hurt people like that. You see the 2 fathers that have been on, and we've had one of them on. The man, I think the man would like to rip him apart. Don't minimize my grief by lying about yours or elevating yours. I mean, how about this one? This one, whoo. I was at ground zero the day after 9/11. He just said that I had to respond to it. If he was, I didn't know about it. I was just a mayor in New York. You don't think I would have known that a senator came to New York? You see, I was a mayor who paid attention, not like the Democrats. I actually did my job. I went to work every day, took very few vacations, not half the time on vacation. I worked my ass off because I love the people in New York. He can't love the people of America. First of all, how can you love people that are systemically racist? If I thought Americans were systemically racist, I don't think I could love them. This is the problem that Biden and Prince Obama have. And a lot of them don't love America. They never put America first. Putting America first means loving America. They don't love it. They love themselves. The guy's a pathological, well, you want the real psychological diagnosis? He's a pathological, sick, insane narcissist. All these things, can be slightly normal, but everything that's normal can get crazy. He's crazy. Nutty, want to use words like that? Nutty, insane, crazy. He not only did he tell the lie about his father and his uncle and giving them by the way, the guy never the uncle never was entitled to a Purple Heart by any record we find anywhere. He said he went to a black college. He claimed he was arrested many, many times during the civil rights movement. No record he's ever been arrested ever. He claimed, of course, that he was arrested on his way to see Mandela in South Africa. Not true. But saying that he was at ground zero. There's a video of him giving a speech in Washington that day. In his own autobiography, he says he was in Washington all that day. There's no record. Well, I guess he came secretly and didn't tell anybody. Little Joey came in and secretly walked around ground zero. In fact, as best I can tell, he went to a damn mosque before he ever went to ground zero. I wonder what side he's on. He gives money to Iran. He goes to a mosque first before he gets to ground zero. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know. On September 20th, he went to a mosque in Newark, New Jersey. I don't think he joined the senators on the 19th that came. I don't remember him. If I'm wrong about that, we'll have to go look and we'll apologize. We won't apologize. We'll just correct it. But I'm almost certain he wasn't part of the group on the 19th that came. And I believe, aside from Schumer and Hillary, who were senators from New York, and by the way, did a very good job for New York. God bless them for that. I can find a lot of reasons to criticize him, but you got to be fair. He didn't do shit. Nothing. Zero. Like he never did anything. Ever. The 1994 bill, I helped to pass that. I actually wrote the damn thing 10 years earlier with the Justice Department. And everybody had to hold his stupid little hand because he's a moron. What is it? Dishonest or dumb? I always knew the second. I didn't know the first. And I never knew he was a traitor to this country. You think all those favors for China are just like coincidental? You think he gives up an airbase 400 miles from China? Has nothing to do with the 21 million. Let's say he never got the money. Let's say his family got the money, just his family. What the hell would happen if an American president during the Cold War got $21 million from Nikita Khrushchev? Like Benedict Arnold. I'd have done it myself, even if it was a Republican. This is a serious, not a funny situation. This is a sick man, and his sicknesses and his immorality are leading to deaths that massive numbers of deaths don't have to take place. We'll close with everyone in Ukraine, on either side of whatever you're on. You know that if he hadn't stolen the election in 2020 and Trump had been elected, you'd be alive today. You know, and I know, that Putin would not have invaded. That's a lot of people dead because of that piece of crap that you just saw displayed many, many years ago. And boy, is there something ultimately wrong with us that we have to fix? I mean us, the American people. How do we elect that? Because those lies continued. Back in that day, those honest people, those honest reporters didn't cover it up. Now they suck his backside because they're just as bad as he is. That's why we have him. We'll be right back. Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. Okay, guys, let's help our friends, huh? Mike Lindell, mypillows.com/Rudy. Come on, getting to be Easter. You could use some new towels and some new sheets and who the heck knows what else. He's got everything. And stay healthy. I had some extra fruit today. Despite that, balanceofnature.com/Rudy. If you do that, you will get yourself a 35% discount. You'll get to try this, and I'm telling you, it works well, really, really well to keep you energetic, healthy. It's done wonders for me, and I don't think any of us really do, unless we're just extremely fastidious. I don't think we really get the proper amount of fruits and vegetables we should have. It's the reason why we take all those vitamin this and vitamin that and vitamin this and vitamin that and vitamin this. Well, you should take some of those vitamins if you need them. I'm not telling you you shouldn't, but if you take this, you know you got the basic taken care of, because that's where it comes from. It's very easy to do.
That's right. Visit.
I don't recommend 4, by the way, at a time.
Use that promo code
I'm going
Rudy.
to have to be a better example. Go ahead, Ted.
But use that promo code Rudy for huge savings, 35% off. That's balanceofnature.com. And you're supporting everything the mayor is doing here on America's Mayor Live. And look at all the energy he has. We're approaching 9 p.m. Eastern. I mean, you've been going strong since what, 9 a.m.?
Oh, yeah. Last time
and you work all day. There's no breaks.
Yeah, we work all day, and we did our show today. And last night we did about 45 minutes extra on
with
America's Mayor Confidential with the wonderful guest we had. And we may even do another one tonight because I got something in mind for tonight. But I want to ask you a question, Ted. Yeah. Did Colbert, who is one of the lying creep bums that's at the Radio City Music Hall tonight, were they having a demonstration, by the way? Not Republicans.
Yes, I'm looking for.
And it got a little violent.
I'm looking for some footage.
Republicans don't get violent. That's why I knew the minute January 6th happened, I did have the benefit of the 45 minutes of the Sullivan tape that they still cover up. That was brought to me by people who had people inside Antifa, turned all that over to the U.S. attorney. It was like, putting it in the garbage. But didn't Colbert work for Jon Stewart at one time?
Yes.
So they're both liars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this guy, I think this guy, he won't go to jail because he's a Democrat. But in trying to demonstrate, ultimately how stupid he is, I think he talked himself into a crime because nobody will ever prosecute him for it. But his point was that, we say correctly that Trump didn't defraud anyone, because to defraud someone is to really take something from them. It's to create a loss. And the transactions that were put into evidence in front of Judge Engelmoron were all resulted, in fact, many of them resulted in a profit. None of them resulted in a loss. None of the people involved complained. None of them were victimized. Fraud has always, from the time it was a common law crime, the essential element is loss. It isn't theoretical. It isn't, I'm thinking about defrauding you, but I don't get anything from you. But Judge Engelmoron, and it's a civil case, But this guy, our genius here, says, oh, but if Trump inflated the numbers, then the banks would be more likely to loan to him than to the regular guy. A jackass. Yeah. Are you really a jackass, Stewart? The banks, first of all, would roll over to not just Trump, but to Reliant, you know, there are 10, 12 massive real estate operations in New York. A few had the courage to come out and say, we all do the same thing. I can tell you they all do the same thing. And they don't do it to mislead the banks. They do it to puff. It's public relations, jackass. And they don't care what he wrote down. Yeah. He could have wrote down $2. He could have wrote down 50 billion. The banks don't. The bank have their own value for your property. Don't you know that, moron? Are you educated? I don't know what your education is, Stewart, but it sounds like you're pretty stupid. Yeah. I mean, that's a stupid thing to even say. Like it's a joke. Like the banks are, because he, you think, evaluated his property higher than it should be. The bank is going to like run to give him because of that, or because he's one of the biggest real estate developers in the world. Certainly one of the 6 of, I'd say the 5 biggest in New York. The banks are dying to loan money to him. The banks are loaning money to him right now, even with all the problems he has. The only thing they won't do is get themselves wrapped up with anger moron, which is why he couldn't get the bail. That's a different thing. Now you're getting involved with, ooh. I mean, lawyers sit there and say, anger moron. Even Stewart, if you're right, which you're not. I mean, it's just stupid as hell. Please, anybody that wants to go to law school, anybody that wants to be educated, don't listen to this guy. This is really stupid. You make that argument in court, except if it's in front of a crooked Democrat judge, you could just get laughed out of court. Like, Trump fooled the banks. Well, first of all, they like being fooled because they didn't lose any money and they made money. So fool me some more. If I loan you money and I get it all back, or I loan you money and I make money, and somehow you fooled me into loaning you the money, I'll loan you money again. You can fool me again. You got it? I mean, or are you what? Stunad? That's an Italian word for stupid. I can't imagine you would know Italian. Latin, I'd really get you. I never liked him as a comedian. Always thought he wasn't funny. I mean that before he got so political. But I never realized he was that stupid. Well, here's the thing that's really stupid. When these guys do these lies like Biden, they open themselves up. So he's a rich guy, this guy. I mean, this isn't the common man. So he sold a piece of property. He sold it for gosh almighty, about 17 times its assessed valuation, which is what Inga Moron used for Mar-a-Lago. He sold it for $17.5 million. The estimated market value at the time was $1.8 million, and he sold it for $17.5. Pretty good. And the assessed valuation at the time was $847,000, and he sold it for $17.5. Got it? Okay. Unlike the situation with Trump, where he was selling to a bank that would look at the 17.5 and have their own evaluation, and then maybe loan the money anyway, but adjust something else in the loan based on their own evaluation. Banks, that's what banks do. They're professionals. They're not assholes like you. Well, the guy he sold it to resold it a few years later, and he sold it for $13 million. In other words, he incurred a loss because of your having overvalued your property. I mean, you actually defrauded him. You actually have the element of loss. This wasn't one of those, the bank may have giving it to somebody else. This is actual. The guy was out. Let's see, 13 million, 14 million, 15 million, 16 million, 17 million, 4.5 million. So you snookered him into paying 17.5 for a house that was, or apartment that was worth 1.8, according to the market value. And that must have been pretty close to it, because, well, I mean, that must have been telling you something somebody should have known, because the guy lost $4.5 million a few years later when he sold it. Oh, it sounds like fraud to me, pal. And I don't know if that statute, when they changed the statute, I don't know if they can catch you too, Stewart. But this one could be a criminal case, because we got actual numbers. You see, if we had to do like an evaluation of loss, Stewart, we got the numbers you cheated the guy out of. You're a goddamn crook. Or somebody might think so. That's a legitimate opinion with what I read here. I have no I mean, if these numbers are wrong, let us know. You can come on and tell us they're wrong. Tell us it really was worth 17.5. It took a big drop. It took a big drop in that period of time. And the guy that bought it from you at 17.5, even though the estimated value was way lower, I mean, all I'm doing is going based on this. So if these are wrong, Mr. Stewart, you can come and correct this. I'd be happy to have you on, and you can come with your numbers. Or you have your lawyer come on with his numbers. And we'll take, we could even take a look at 2014 is when you sold it. We have to see when the guy sold it. It's just over. So we're going to have to see what happened to the value of New York property between 2014 and 2021. Might have gone down because of the pandemic, might. So you might be able to either mitigate some of that loss or explain it. You're going to have a hard time explaining the 17.5 and the market value of 1.8, at least based on the theory of being not being a hypocrite, because you actually did what you're accusing Trump of, which Trump didn't do. I can't imagine this guy's all that happy with the price that he got for it. Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch his show. Did he disclose this in his show?
Well, he had started by criticizing President Trump, right?
Did he disclose his own?
No, but he tweeted about it.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he ended up saying, when others discovered this, right? They
No. I'm asking, at the time that he made this unfair criticism of Trump.
No.
Did he honestly disclose his own problem?
Of course not.
So then it came out.
Yeah.
And then he defended himself in the tweet.
Of course.
How did he defend himself? What did he say?
Let's bring it up. So we'll bring it up. This is Jon Stewart on Twitter, defending himself in what I'm sure, Mayor, you'll look at this and just see a very.
I don't know. I mean, there could be some explanations for it. There's no explanation for the hypocrisy. There could be an explanation
for his situation.
He may have a defense.
Oh, well, we know that's not what it is. Here we go. So you can see here.
I've been caught doing something not remotely similar to Trump. Yeah, it's much worse.
So let's share it for everyone to see. Here it is. This is Jon Stewart's response.
I've been caught doing something not remotely similar to Trump. True. You had an actual loss. Trump didn't. I can't read the rest of it. Can you read the rest of it?
Yeah, I'll bring that back up for you.
I don't need to start a fraud college. Maybe you should go to college. I don't know if you did. Did he go to college?
So this is what he's saying. He's basically being snarky and refusing to really address the issue. Here you go, Mayor, if you want to read that.
He's a creepy.
There it is.
Okay. Oh my God, I've been caught doing something not remotely similar to Trump. I guess all I need to do now is start a fraud college. Steal classified docs. That sounds like what Biden did. Bankrupt casinos. Bankruptcies happen. I mean, I went bankrupt because of a $145 million judgment brought on by your friends. If I didn't have that judgment of $145 million, I wouldn't be bankrupt. Pay hush money You never did a non-disclosure agreement. Stewart, I wonder if you did do a non-disclosure. I mean, you're a damn hypocrite. Grab pussies. Oh, so we're gonna just assume that one side is right and not the other. That's not a defense. Just cheated golf. I play golf with him. You think you can play golf like him? I doubt it. And foment insurrection. What insurrection? That's as big a lie as the rest. There's nobody in the biggest investigation in the history of the United States, nobody charged with insurrection. There's insurrection in your sick mind. So he must be guilty. You know, this is not even a defense. I mean, here's what we need to know. Here's the defense, if there is one. I give the guy a chance to do it. Otherwise, it sounds like he's a fraudster. What's the defense for the value of 17.5 that appears to be so beyond the market value? Certainly the market value was wrong at 1.8 because the guy did sell it for 13 million. So it sounds like the market value might very well be a lot less than your 17.5, but it wasn't the 1.8. That was the estimated market value. All that goes to show you is those low numbers are the numbers that Engelmoron was using, which is why he's going to get reversed. That's why he says Mar-a-Lago is worth 18 million when it's worth $1 billion. In fact, in your case, your $17 million property, if you didn't defraud the guy, the assessed value was only 847,000, 17 times more. Based on that, what's 17 times 18 million? That would be the value of, based on your shenanigans here, that would be the value of Mar-a-Lago. The guy took a 26% loss in the sale. The defense there would be, what happened to the market? Is that a function of the market, or is it a function of your cheating him? But you certainly have a much worse situation than Trump, because the guy did have a loss.
Crazy. What a crazy.
Nobody had a loss with Trump. And then you also seem guilty because you don't give you don't answer the questions that would show you're a decent man who had a decent transaction here and maybe made a mistake or whatever, or you're a fraudster. You give that bullshit instead. You seem like a pretty slimy guy. You sure haven't given an explanation of the numbers that are sitting here. And your failure to do so tells me, I mean, if this were mission for it, I'd have put that in. Just like I put in a real explanation for all the false things they charge me with, I always turn out to be right. Right? I'm the one who was accused of being a Russian pawn by your friends. You may have, I don't know. It turns out that that was definitively proven to be false.
Thank
you. That you were all lying. All you reporters out there were all lying. I don't know if you were. I don't know if you joined them on that. And I was telling the truth. The Russian collusion, you were all lying. I was telling the truth. So far, I've been telling the truth about everything. Some haven't been resolved yet. You really think that the Fanny the Ho's case in Georgia is a real case? So let's get to that. So today, Trump's lawyers argued it was a violation of the First Amendment. Of course it's a violation of the First Amendment. I didn't even have to argue it. It doesn't have a right to have an opinion about that, and despite the complete censorship and the hysteria that they create to frighten people into saying that the election was stolen. There was plenty of evidence that the election was stolen, which they're trying to hide by yelling and screaming and labeling because they're Marxists. That's what they do. I don't know, Stewart. Are you? I don't think maybe you're just not a very well educated man. So far, they've been wrong about everything. I was the reason I am in the position that I'm in is I'm the first one that Joe Biden was a thief. And that was handed to me. It was given to me by Ukrainian individuals, and then eventually corroborated by multiple witnesses, a documented money laundering transaction. I mean, I can go over it. When I first put it out, oh, they went crazy. They said, it's been debunked. Debunked. There's that much evidence. Well, I mean, the guy should just get out of the White House, and there are justified. He's a major crook, and it's clear as hell. You don't even need a trial. I mean, the evidence is documentary. The documentary evidence, like what I mean by that, it's on paper, it's on video. I mean, I can't go through it now. We've gone through it enough. The whole thing with did he talk to his son about foreign whatever? We got him on tape. We got on tape. And they keep saying, well, it hasn't been printed. It's on tape. A disc jockey could convict him. Play the tape. No, convict yourself, you dumb jerk. So you get rid of him for being a major crook, the biggest one ever in the White House. Get rid of him for, I mean, he clearly is demented. Jesus, the guy, listen to him. He sounded like he was drunk. And he's either, as they said way back 40 years ago or 30 years ago, he's either dishonest or dumb. Now, dumb is like incredibly dumb because he even tells lies that are dumb. Why would you keep repeating that your son was killed in action when the whole world knows you're lying about that? Everybody knows you're lying about that. But a single person. Now, you get away with it because they kiss your backside and because we have a corrupt country right now. But everybody knows you're lying. Your whole family knows you're lying. I don't know how you can look at them saying that your son died in action. So there's got to be something wrong with you. You got to be crazy to do that. And you keep repeating the lies. Or this whole thing with a train. You were on a train. I mean, I would love to get you on a witness stand. So you play Joe Biden, okay? Your first question would be, whatever the hell you are at the point that I get to cross-examine you, Mr. Biden or former President Biden or Dumbo, whatever. I'd really like to call you Dumbo. But when you were riding on that train over the Francis Scott Key Bridge, Mr. Biden, if you looked east, could you see the Atlantic Ocean? Must have been a hell of a view, huh? See, I would do this with liars because politicians are the easiest people to cross-examine because they elaborate. So it's very possible that a pathological liar like that moron would say, oh yeah, you could see the Atlantic Ocean. It was quite a view early in the morning. It was really quite a view. See the sun. And if you look to the west, would you see the mountains? I mean, you're pretty high up there on that Francis Scott Key Bridge going over on a train. You're sitting there on a train. You remember seeing those mountains? Oh, yeah. And could you look down and see how, the tide and the water there when you were on the train, Mr. Biden? And then you say, well, you got a problem, Mr. Biden. There's never been a train on that bridge. Well, would you have your little choo-choo Lionel trains on there? Were you going in a little car? I hope you're getting the point. The point is the man's sick. seriously ill and sitting in the most important job in the world, in which you can lose lives when you're seriously ill like him, and he's done it. He's gotten people killed because he's either compromised by the Chinese or maybe even the Russians. He got money from Budarina. He never dealt with his son's foreign crooks. Elena Budarina is the wife of the former mayor of Moscow, who really was wacky. I know him. Whoa! I mean, if Putin gets rid of people for all kinds of reasons of being a dictator, I think this guy was like wacky. Hard to describe what he was like. But she connived with Putin to get rid of him, became even wealthier. She is reputed to be the wealthiest female oligarch, wealthiest woman in Russia. She is not sanctioned for anything ever. People way down below her are. And she had dinner with the guy that didn't know any of his son's foreign people. She had dinner with him twice at Milano's. One of them in very close proximity to when she turned over $3.5 million to Hunter. He's got a message on Hunter's telephone machine saying that he read this article in the New York Times. Unfortunately, the New York Times article it details with great precision all of Hunter's dealings with China and prospective dealings. So how can he say he didn't know anything about the son's foreign dealings? And he says, I want to talk to you about it. It's on tape. Come on. What the hell are we doing? In addition to losing that wonderful police officer, we lost another man because of the Democrat policies in New York. We lost a man whose name you probably won't know, or you won't know, Jason Voles. Jason was just one of us, an American like us, like you, like me. He was only 54. He seemed like he was a hell of a nice guy. His neighbor is named Sammy Sanchez. They live up in the Bronx. He said, I'm feeling so devastated. He was an upstanding citizen, a nice guy. He held the door for me when I came up the stairs with my wife. Every time we see each other, we say hi. He never did anything wrong. For that to happen, it takes my soul away. For it to happen just like that, he was thrown. He was thrown in front of a train, a subway train, and killed by another career criminal who actually had been arrested shortly before and had a deranged criminal history and was let out without any bail, supervision, or anything. This guy's life is gone because of the Democrats who passed the bail law, because of the Democrats who don't have the courage like Adams and Hochul to change it, because of Biden, who could easily get him to do it if he just called and said, hey, you're one of the few states, New York, that doesn't allow danger to the community. For a judge to consider that of course, if you consider danger to but now, also, we got to be fair. We got judges in New York who would let the guy out, they just let him out. I mean, some of the judges go further than the Soros DAs. I mean, I don't know if they're communists or they have some strange perverted love for criminals or whatever the hell it is, but we got some real wolves. But the law has you do it, requires you to do it. So Mr. Voles is dead because of Carlton McPherson, 24 years old, a history of violent behavior, an arrest within a short period of time before where he was let out. And now I want you to listen to one of the people primarily responsible for all these murders in New York. You wouldn't know him, but you should get to know him because he's a true danger to the people of New York. He's the Speaker of the New York House, the Assembly. His name is Carl Hasty. And I hope you all get to know him. Because when you all got to know de Blasio, you realized that we weren't exaggerated when we say he was the worst mayor in history and a communist, right? I mean, he ended up getting no % of the vote and got well known by the rest of America as a complete communist idiot. So this is, I don't know what Hasty is, but he's a very bad man. And he's also an extraordinarily stupid man, because this statement is about as ignorant. This may be more ignorant than what Stewart did. But let's listen to Carl Hasty, Democrat, who is one of the most powerful, who's along with the Senate leader. They really run the state, not poor little Hochul. Carl Hasty.
Don't believe raising pennies is ever a deterrent. There's already things in current law to deal with people who assault other people.
He couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah.
What did he just say? I didn't get it.
We'll play it again. Our viewers can hear.
I want to get it exactly.
Just don't believe raising penalties is ever a deterrent on crime. There's already things in current law to deal with people who assault.
Current law. There's nothing in the current.
Just don't believe raising penalties is ever a deterrent.
I'll play it. I'll find out what he
But what he basically says is that imprisoning criminals does not deter crime. That's what he says. Now I want you to think about that for a minute. We could get into a debate, I guess, about whether if somebody gets a heavy sentence, it doesn't stop a lot of people from committing that crime. That's called general deterrence. Go ahead.
Raising penalties. He doesn't believe that raising penalties will serve as a deterrent to crime.
He doesn't think that raising penalties will serve as a deterrent to crime. I would like to now educate this uneducated moron. There are two types of deterrence under the criminal law. One is general and the other is individual. This comes right out of my first year criminal textbook. I remember the chapter. Individual deterrence and general deterrence. There are purposes to criminal penalties. One of the major ones is deterrence, separated into two, general and individual. Well, general is some guy robs a bank. He gets 10 years in jail, and it should say to other people, I don't want to go to jail for 10 years. That's general deterrence, right? Works best when you have a fairly educated, at least marginal moral community. The atmosphere we're in now, I don't know if it works at all. That's not the one I'm talking about. This is why the man's a moron. It's the second one. It's individual deterrence. Meaning, you put the guy in jail, he can't continue to commit the crimes, idiot. Like, how about this? If McPherson were in jail, Voles would not be dead. Right? Put that moron on again. Put him on again. What a jackass. And people vote for this guy?
Just don't believe raising penalties is ever a deterrent on crime. There's already things in current law to deal with people who assault.
Current law. People are dead because of current law. Look, if this guy were in jail, Voles, he can't come out of jail and throw Voles on the subway track, moron. That's been part of the law for 800 years before an asshole like you came along and changed it with that other idiot in the Assembly, in the Senate, and you won't change it. People are dying left and right, and you won't change it. The police officer was killed by a guy who was arrested 22 times. He's not in jail because of you. If he were in jail, he could not have killed Officer Diller. Jesus, how stupid can you be? Bigger question. How stupid can you be voting for them? Do people vote for that? People vote for someone that thinks you can't deter crime by imprisoning people for longer periods of time? If you consider individual deterrence, like they can't commit the crimes. You probably don't understand and never have read Wilson's book on career criminals. I'm sure you've never read the history of deterrence, like I have. Incompetent, dumb people in offices with major responsibilities get our people killed. And then if they're like Biden and they're crooked, they get a lot of our people killed. Hundreds of thousands in Ukraine, for example. You'll never convince an intelligent, fair-minded person that that would have happened under Trump. So when you cheated to put Biden in, and now let's go back to the cheating with the covering up the hard drive. When all you criminals who signed that letter about basically my being a Russian plant or manipulated by the Russians, when you did that, you fixed the election. Before we get to how you cheated on the votes, that was election interference of massive proportions. That hard drive is probably the most incriminating single document in criminal law history. If it had been out before the election, the first poll, before people even knew what was in it, 10% said they would have voted against Biden, who voted for him. That would have turned it would have been a landslide then for Trump. You couldn't, even in Pennsylvania, you couldn't have manufactured enough votes to change it. And I don't understand why people are so reluctant to believe that you guys fixed an election when you tried to take a lawfully elected president out on false paid-for testimony. That's exactly what Russian collusion was all about. Except it's not described that way because you own Pravda. You own the Biden press machine because in some cases because of the terrible educations you've gotten and become Marxists. In other cases because you're bitter little jerks. In other cases because you're crooked. But the hard drive proved without doubt that you guys elected the ones of you who voted for him, because even if you cheated, a lot of people voted for him. Well, 10% of those people, I bet it's up to about 20 now. 10% of those people say they would not have voted for him if they had known about the hard drive. Well, I mean, that would have ended. Maybe you could have still cheated. I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's a point at which, as Trump says, it just becomes impossible. I mean, honestly, though, I have to admit, I thought it was impossible for you to steal Pennsylvania when on election night we were ahead by 750. And people told me that. I had people ready to go on a witness stand, mathematicians, who said it was statistically impossible. What are you going to do? Well, crying over spilled milk. The reason it's important is if you let them cover it up, it'll just keep happening. Nobody wants to go over it all the time. Trump doesn't want to go over it all the time. If we don't face it, we'll continue to do it. It's like what Obama did to us with Islamic extremism. The reason it's maybe even stronger now than it ever was, Obama would never, ever let us use the words Islamic extremism. If you can't name your enemy, you can't defeat your enemy. If you can't describe the problem honestly, you can't solve it. I mean, I give you a lecture if you want on the ComStat program, but the reason I was able to reduce crime is I was fastidiously honest about the statistics. I'd kill you if you gave me the wrong statistics, because people would die if you gave me the wrong statistics. You gave me the right statistics, we'd give ourselves the best chance of putting police officers in the right place at the right time to reduce crime. And this is what they don't do. They don't do it because they don't really work. It's like little Petey, who just stupidly says that container ship would knock down every bridge in America, and doesn't realize that if he actually thinks that, he should have been doing something about it. That's what it means to be Secretary of Transportation, not to go on paternity leave and go to, green conferences. Well, we'll take a short break, and we'll be back.
The new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Welcome back, and we'll close this out with a couple of things that you really should know about, and maybe we can go into a little more detail tomorrow on this. First of all, there's a epidemic going on in New York of crime. Now, we've had an epidemic of crime for quite some time. For example, Adams tells us, subway crime is exaggerated. Of course, it's up 53% since he's become mayor. It's up 53%. Some epidemic, and every time he does it, some poor guy like Voles gets thrown on the subway tracks and gets killed. Because a guy like McPherson is out, because a pal of his like Hasty thinks that you can't deter criminals by putting them in jail. And you, acting like a coward, don't square off against Hasty. I don't mean fight. I mean sit in his office and say, as I know I would have done, I am dedicated to taking you out of office until you change that. Not because of politics, because you're getting my people killed. You're going to change that, or I'm going to get you out. Because here's what I'm going to do. Every week, I'm going to have my police department publish a list of the people that were killed or seriously injured or raped because of your law. And I'm going to blame it on you and the other idiot in the state Senate until they get rid of you. And when there are crimes in your district, I'm going to point out the fact that you're responsible for them, just like you are definitely responsible for Mr. Voles. And maybe it won't work. Maybe it will. At the time that I recommended that publicly, Adams won't talk to me. At the time that I recommended it, Adams was quite popular. He got like a 65% approval rating. And he was the mayor. The other guy's just an assemblyman. I don't know. It might have worked. He might have taken him out in his district.
Oh, absolutely.
But I would have done it. I would have done it because even if I didn't get him, I would have scared a lot of the others. Why, you think these guys are big heroes? They wouldn't be doing this crap if they were big heroes. So we have people going around, and they are sucker punching women. The way they're throwing people on railroad tracks, subway tracks, and that's the new thing, sucker punching women. And then they are let out so that they don't miss too much time sucker punching another woman. It's like they let the drug dealers out. They arrest a drug dealer, and he got to spend a couple hours. He doesn't want to interrupt his business, right? And they get him out. They escort him back to wherever he's selling drugs. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Or why do you think the big stores are leaving New York? Because we're becoming like Los Angeles, which is a city decayed by Soros, or San Francisco, a city destroyed by Soros, where even shoplifting, it's, what do they call it? Crash and grab, or it's
smash and grab.
Well, it's actually, they're just replaying the 2020 riots, when they saw people running in and stealing televisions, and the moronic Biden Democrats saying, well, they need it for food. What are they eating, the televisions? I mean, they really must think we're stupid. I guess we do have some people that are stupid because they vote for them. I mean, at least I was intelligent enough to quit you guys a long, long time ago, because you're a bunch of con men. You're not in it for the good of the people. You can't say things like that hasty guy said and be in it for the people. Now these people are going around Giboki Stora, 40, of East New York, was charged with attacking Haley Kate McGuckin. Story is a serial failed candidate who was run for city council, mayor, and governor. McGuckin told her, this is written by Jesse O'Neill and Jeanette Settembre in the New York Post. I think it's today. McGuckin told her 1.1 million followers in a viral video how she was punched in the face by a stranger as she walked in Chelsea Monday. I was literally just walking and a man came up and punched me in the face. McGuckin's video about her ordeal attracted more than 41 million views and led to more than a dozen women sharing that they had also recently been sucker punched. And then it goes on about the others that have been, and about the people who couldn't be let out of jail fast enough by the judges and the prosecutors so they could go punch women again. A lot of these incidents, by the way, were not reported to the police. And McGuckin, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, by getting those 41 million, got a lot of these people to come forward. And I remember this when I was dealing with a decrepit New York. A lot of the crimes weren't reported. When we started a program to protect women, and a specific program with not only the police department, but also with the social services agencies and I actually based it on this case on a report called Behind Closed Doors that came out before I was mayor, and I read it because I do things like read and study. I read it and had my group, because I had a group that would meet all the time, a year and a half before I was mayor, studying what we would do. And we decided we were going to put a whole new program in for protecting women who were who were the victim of abuse. And probably about a year into it, we had crime down like big time the first year. And all of a sudden, there's an increase in rape. And Bill Bratton comes in and says, don't be alarmed, Mayor. The increase in rape is people reporting them now. And if you look at the report, you will see there's a big section of the report about how much unreported rape there is because the cops didn't do anything about it. Well, don't you think there's a lot of unreported crime now because the cops can't do anything about it?
Oh my God, they'll get in trouble.
I mean, first of all, if they make a mistake, their job is gone.
Done.
Second, whoever they arrest is back out on the street spitting in their face within
2 hours later.
Yeah. So what's the use? I mean, in many cases, it's dangerous to report the crime. You report the crime, you're the person putting the person theoretically in prison. The person comes out and come after you again. That's what happens in a demoralized city. They don't. This when I saw this, it just all came back. You know, Adams really should talk to me. I solved all these problems more than any mayor in history. It's hard to self-promote, but there's nobody that reduced crime. I don't even have a competitor.
Of course not.
I don't have a competitor. You tell me who came close to reducing crime the way I did, or who,
in any city,
can right now explain to you how I did it, because I didn't do it with this fluff and stupidity and lying and bullshit like Adams.
Yeah,
I did it for real. I stayed up all night because people's lives meant something to me. And that's why I'm angry at this bum Hasty who says something that is so ignorant, it gets people killed. And you, voters, I had Mr. Smith on last night.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult concept, the PSYOPs concept. But his movie is premiering tonight at a mile from here. But I can't be there because I'm with you. And I prefer to be with you, but because I already watched some of the movie. It's fabulous. You've got to start thinking for yourself. If you're watching this show, I bet you do. I'm probably preaching to the converted here, but you got to preach it to other people. Well, do to me what you want. I know the election of 2020 was stolen. I know it. Not just in my heart. I know it in the papers I have. I can show it to you. They won't let me. I mean, the judges wouldn't have a hearing. I did get the evidence before the legislature. Go read the report of the Georgia legislature by Senator Ligon. Straight, honest, decent man who did a great investigation with 110 witnesses, only about a third of which I produced. He got the rest. Georgia was completely stolen. The governor knows it. The attorney general knows it for sure. He may very well be the guy who doctored the tapes in my bar association proceeding.
A lot of countries ban mail.
At least the prosecutor in that case tells us that he didn't even know they were doctored. Great preparation, because they never checked. Well, Ted and I checked, and all of the most, well, not all, but many of the most incriminating things were taken out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's a reason most countries are banning mail-in voting or have already. And then this is a whole nother issue with the ballots being ran. I mean, we're not making any of this up. We watched what we watched.
Here's why
I feeding the ballots in the machine.
All you have to do is do this. I say that you have paper ballots there that are illegitimate and they were done after the election. And I say you got 40, 50,000 of them. And you say, I'm not going to let you see the ballots. And I say, I'll have any kind of security you want. You can put me on tape. You can have all of the, whoever Chris Wray and the FBI has corrupted. You can have all of them there. Just let me have a couple of my experts and let me test the paper. And you fight me to the death and you don't let me see one single piece of paper. When I say me, I mean all the Republicans. So you think I'm so stupid I don't realize you're guilty? You think that's how I put all those mafia guys in jail? By being that stupid? Or sent two Nazis that were extraordinarily controversial off to what they deserved? Or broke up corruption on Wall Street? Or put a crooked congressman in jail when I was a kid? You think I did that by being a sucker for people like you? Or being afraid that the press is going to say that I'm an election denier? I'm an election denier. Well, so is Hillary Clinton. We're not going to hire Ronna McDaniel because she's an election denier. But you've got one of the biggest liars in the Western world working for you, Little Red Lying Hood. Geez, I don't know if she's worse than PPX, whatever the hell her name is. But I mean, I don't remember her ever telling the truth. Well, what about Nicole Wallace? Weapons of mass destruction, Nicole. Oh, you're really good, babes. Whoa. You were selling us weapons of mass destruction. And now you're on CNN ripping the hell out of people like Ronna McDaniel.
Yeah, MS.
Ronna McDaniel. Weapons of mass destruction, Nicole. Oh, how about Rachel Madcow? Rachel Madcow, still hasn't apologized for Russian collusion. How many times was Russian collusion proven? A million ways. Now it's been proven to be purchased. She hasn't retracted a damn thing. She gets $30 million for once a week going on television and scaring children. You can look at her and not get scared. You're good.
30 million?
That's what they say. It's ridiculous. She gets on it. It's a complete Russian collusion. Yeah, Hillary paid $1.1 million to Christopher Steele through the lawyers, which is really what they're trying to do, what they're trying to convict Trump of. Well, there's so much more. We should have a 3-hour show.
Well, I want to know what, Mayor, I have to ask.
We're going to conclude now.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
What would you do? And this is so bizarre. I'm hearing this from multiple friends. I have friends who have been punched in the face. What if someone came to you, just a day in the office, Mayor, we're having this trend now.
How do I stop these people?
Yeah, you have men punching women in the face in Lower Manhattan.
First thing I do, I mean, he wants me to solve it, I'll solve it.
Tell Commissioner, come on.
Just to be sure I do it completely right and I execute it correctly, I'll bring Bernie with me, with my commissioner. Bernie and I would be willing, and we've worked together before. We worked together in Mexico City for the guy who's now pushing. We could even help him with AMLO. He respects us. He doesn't respect Biden.
Who does?
Respect now he's extorting him, but okay. So I'd have to go look at the CompStat statistics. First of all, I'd have to see how scrupulous they are and how accurate they are. I have no confidence in Adams, and I don't have any confidence in Caban. I think Caban is a complete liquor.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd have to work with the guys there who I have complete confidence in, and I'd have to know, are they screwing around with the stats? Because if they are, I'm going to make mistakes. If I use the wrong statistics, I'll put the cops in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So that might take a week to straighten those out.
Okay.
Once I had the right statistics, I would map all these. I try to see the patterns, and I try to organize it to interrupt them.
Okay.
I try to anticipate where they're going to take place and grab them before they did it, because that'll scare the shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now then, here's where I could be. Here's where it gets really tough. If I'm talking about Bragg, and Bragg is going to stick him back out on the street,
the mayor can't do much about that.
Oh, sure he could. You know what I would do if he did that with one of those people that's going after him? I'd follow the damn guy. I'd put 2 cops on him. Let's see what he can do with the cop following him. There's always a way around these things. And plus, I'd rip the living daylights out of Bragg.
You'd use the office of mayor to put him on blast.
I'd be on television, and I'd put the woman, I'd show what happened to her. I'd put Bragg, and I'd say, the guy's out again. Be careful. Bragg is his sponsor. Oh, by the way, this all comes to you courtesy of George Soros and Joe Biden. And I'd go after them like crazy. But there aren't that many. I bet. I mean, this. I mean, I've been through all of this. When we got rid of the subway crime, it really was a function of, because subway crime was easier because it's concentrated. It's a low number. Let me just give you a hypothetical example that I used when I would teach CompStat to people. theoretically, if you don't keep statistics, right, you could have, there's a whole big thing for a while, prior mayors who didn't deal with crime scientifically. Let's put a cop in every train.
Yeah.
Oh, so you put the cops in the train, which happens at times here. And 75% of the crime moves out to the station, like they're throwing. What good does the cop in the train do for Mr. Voles, who's on the platform getting thrown in the...
Yeah.
So Comstat at some point showed us that the cops were in the wrong place. Here's how we got a big reduction. We just switched it.
Put them in the right place.
Put them in the right place. Because it tends to get pretty repetitious with regard to place and time. Not all. You're not going to get rid of 100% of the crime, but 70%, 60%,
You get it
50%.
relatively pretty.
Yeah. And then your cops start to develop instincts. And you change their mentality. And this is what even I'm not sure Bratton understands this completely, because I never thought he got it, this part. The real reason we changed crime is we changed our police force from being a police force that relied on arrests. We became a police force that relied on preventing crime. That's what Comstat does for you. It has you aiming to prevent crime. The default position is the arrest. So what I really want my police department doing is anticipating, trying to think ahead of the criminal. And that's why the stats were so important, because prior behavior can, to a very large extent, predict future behavior. Again, not 100%. Unless God changes the human personality, we're never going to reduce crime 100%. But if we can do it 50 or 60 or 70, we're going to save a hell of a lot of lives, which I did. But what I'm explaining to you, they don't understand. They don't understand crime prevention. We really don't. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's a little harder. We did Comstat in other places. I did it with Bernie. I did it with John Houvain. And it was the smart places where we were successful. Because you can use statistics. Every business gets statistics and they stick them in the drawer. It's the genius who knows how to make them come to life. And that's what Comstat does if you use it right. The statistics come to life. The statistics start to tell you, after a while, you actually feel like you're predicting future behavior. And you are. But it has to be a very, very intense, thorough process. The statistics have to be right. This is a small enough subgroup of crimes.
Yeah.
That I think you could get this down in about, like the squeegee man, you could get this down in about 4 weeks. Only thing I can't vouch for are the statistics, and I don't trust the crooked administration. I don't trust them both on honesty and I don't on competence. It's even worse. I mean, they can't get themselves arrested. That same thing is true of Biden. I mean, when I listen to this idiot tell me that the bridges could all come down because of the container ships that have been around since 1956. I said, nobody ever went and checked to see if the bridges should be reinforced or the container ships should be dealt with in a different way, or we're supposed to be preventing these things. But this would be a lot easier than like stopping this thing here where they're punching women. This would be a lot easier than some of the other crime situations, like the migrant crime situation. That's going to be a killer.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump, I have no doubt, Trump will get that border under control. You'd be shocked how fast he gets it under control. His really tough job. How do you get rid of these people? You've got north of 8 million people. We don't know who the hell they are.
Yeah.
And you've got to assume the worst. You can't go around like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
And think, oh, they're all wonderful people, and let's I think Adam started his free debit card program for illegals. yesterday or the day before. How can I take that guy seriously as a law enforcement guy?
Yeah.
He's given out credit, he's given out debit cards to a people, a sample of which are dangerous criminals, and they have to be, because nobody checks who they are. How about just the percentage? Well, first of all, even the ones that are vetted aren't vetted.
Right.
They asked the Chinese 4 questions.
Right.
How the hell do we know if the Chinese guy isn't a spy or not? The Chinese would be stupid not to send spies in. He's not going to ask me to do it. I wish I could, because I would do anything to help the people. I love this city and I love people. I hate to see things happen like this that don't have to happen. When intelligent people put their mind together, decent, intelligent people put their mind together and do something constructive. That's what being in government's about. That's the thing that gets you excited about it. Who the hell could get excited now with all these bums in government? Even on my side, look at it. Look at these congressmen who are breaking their word to their people and resigning. I gotta believe there's except for, a few of them probably have legitimate reasons, but I'm sorry you're going to say I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't get it. Why didn't they do it before so there could be an election? Does somebody get to them?
Or finish the term. It's not like it's the hardest, stressful job ever. They got to staff at 20 people.
You have a right not to finish the term, you son of a bitch.
Yes, that's it. Public service. You would never do something like that.
Unless there was I heard
someone at
Dr. Maria interviewed Congressman, I think it was Biggs, who said there was one. He agreed with it, that they don't have a good reason. But he said there was
as mayor when you had cancer?
Of course not.
So no, I'm sorry, but public service is public.
No, in fact, I probably had my best year and a half, because what I did was I sat down with all my commissioners and I said, we're really, and I'll tell you what we did. Of course, we don't get credit for it. We covered 300,000 children on Child Health Plus by using the ComStat program, because we figured out where they were, because a lot of them are very poor. We figured out where they were, and and I wanted to use my police department and fire department, particularly my fire department, because they wanted to do this, to go into the school, and the schools wouldn't let them in. So I set up booths.
Wow.
And we went and found the people who had to be covered. That's the kind of things that we did. Do you know why we have publicized ComStat reports? Because in the last year that I was mayor, year and a half, that extra period, I said, the Democrats are going to get control of this place again sometime, and they're going to be corrupt as hell, like they always are. And we're going to go back to crime. They're going to try to go back. But if I get people used to these statistics,
they'll expect they won't. Yeah.
That's on purpose. That's on purpose. It's on purpose. I thought I'd be succeeded by an idiot Democrat.
Yeah.
Either crooked or.
Thankfully you weren't. Well, at least at the time he wasn't.
No, he was never.
Now I don't know.
I would never call him that. I would say
Democrat, maybe not an idiot.
Well, no way. I mean, the man's a brilliant man, but he has a different. He got a strange view of the world. I mean, when he started doing the big
soda thing,
the big sodas and the small sodas,
silly. That was silly.
Or when I went into Central Park and some cop, I was smoking a cigar, and the cop said, "You can't smoke a cigar here." He said, "You get a summons for it." I said, "Well, suppose I smoked marijuana. What am I supposed to give out summonses for marijuana?" And he was the mayor then, but Kelly was gone.
Oh my God, can't make it up.
I mean, I always say, I'm always very careful to say that this city stayed safe because of Mayor Bloomberg and Ray Kelly. You always notice I put Ray Kelly in. I'm not going to take responsibility for after Kelly left. But I mean, he did. I mean, look, if he were back now, I really think things would be a lot better. He wouldn't do what I did. I don't think he doesn't have
the guts.
I don't have the political philosophy,
I don't know. There's a chance he would have caved today, right? He's a Democrat. If today he was mayor, there's a chance he wouldn't. He'd be afraid to.
But a lot of I don't know if he'd be afraid to. I don't think he's a coward at all. I have a lot of regard for Mike, but I also have a lot of reality about him. First of all, he spent half of his agenda on all this green crap that gets you nowhere except waste money.
Yeah.
And it takes...
it hurts the economy, I'm guessing.
You only have a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend time on the ridiculous green con job. You're taking it away from reducing crime or fixing the economy or getting people on Child Health Plus, or if you're trying to get them to stop emitting carbon dioxide when it doesn't do any damage. And this damn universe is too damn big for us to really have much of an impact on it. I hope the eclipse and people looking in telescopes that give you an idea how small we are. And I believe, I believe many things have to be done for pollution. But I think the whole big universe thing, like we affect the big universe and we change the climates and because of what we do on Earth, I think it's totally irrational.
Yeah.
Given the size of this universe and given how small we are. I think it really does emerge. First of all, I really do think it's a deliberate con job for people to make a lot of money, like Gore. And I think it's a Marxist-inspired con job as well, in order to create authoritarian power. And they get all these kids all excited about it, like it's a religion.
Yeah. That's right. It's a big. They've made it this whole.
And Mike was sold on it to a ridiculous degree. So that even if you're well motivated,
yeah,
that'll take about half your energy.
And what do you have to show for it?
And it also wastes a tremendous amount of money, and the money is going to a bunch of con men. Well, we got a lot of subjects, don't we? But we're gonna call it. We're going to call it a night.
We're about to enter our third hour.
I was going to do America's Mayor Confidential, but I think I did it. And we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll cover a couple more of these things. And I wanted to go over the polls with you because the last two nights I wanted to go over polls, and things changed. Like there was a poll yesterday that showed a slight Biden increase, and they called it the Biden bump from the State of the Union. And today, the Fox poll came out, and Biden got whacked.
Yeah,
Trump took his biggest lead. So I don't know. I think that State of the Union bounce lasted as long as it deserved to last, which is as long as it took for the bullshit to wear out. And I mean, that was a pathetic speech. That was a speech of a guy who was applying for a nursing home. And probably going into a high-powered one where they have to watch you carefully so you don't hurt yourself. And this thing now about the train, not only is it ridiculous that he thinks he was on a train going over the bridge, but I don't know if you watched him. I don't know if he was on drugs or... I ran over that bridge many times. He doesn't talk like that. I know the guy. He doesn't talk like that. Those are what you're looking at are brain cells, and they don't regenerate. That's why it's it's progressive, like the Democrats are progressive. You get worse. Inevitably, it has an inevitable ending if you don't die. You don't know what the hell you're doing at all. And the Democrats risk that. There are times he looks better than others, Ted. But like that, like they got him all ginned up for the State of the Union. I think he covered it a lot by shouting. I mean, it was a pathetic speech. And except for the low bar that he has, that he didn't faint during the speech or fall. I've never seen a president yell and scream through a State of the Union speech, and people didn't think it was hysterical, hysterical in a clinical way. But he looked better. That thing there, geez, it looked like death warmed over. Well, let's see what happens. We got a long way to go still, so we better get a little rest. Ted was actually tired today.
Got to get my balance in nature. I have not. I have to get back on it.
Come on.
But we'll be back tomorrow.
balanceofnature.com/Rudy.
Promo code Rudy. Use that promo code. Help us out.
And finally, we, as you know, advertise every night for T2T.org. They were there. they weren't at a big shindig at Radio City Music Hall with a bunch of people who donate to cop killers. They delivered the check. The home of Officer Diller, the mortgage is now paid for, and a lot more, because of you, because of the $11 a month that you put into Tunnel to Towers. It happens all the time when you don't even know about it, because a lot of times, it doesn't get the kind of publicity this gets. But Frank, the most it's ever taken is 2 days. I remember the first time he did it, because I recommended it. I recommended it for one person. He does it for all of them now. And he came up with that idea like that. I asked him for Officer Lou's family, because his father was crying in my arms. How are we going to pay the mortgage? And I said, I said to John Huvane, who was the head of president of my security company then, and with me, because these were the time when the police officers turned their back on de Blasio. So I felt these families were going to be not taken care of. So I went to see them to make sure they'd been taken care of. And then when I went to see Officer Lou, his dad only spoke Chinese. And his dad and I somehow really just got very close. He wouldn't eat for, it had been a day, and he hadn't eaten in like 24 hours or more. And his family said he would only eat if I ate with him. And they said, well, we'll embarrass him into eating if the mayor wants to eat in his house. That's why I began, and will end that way, by saying I'm so proud of President Trump for going, because when you are the president or the ex-president or the mayor, I'm not sure you know who you are, in the sense of the effect you have on other people, particularly the people who admire you. So that visit by him today was the best thing that could happen for them, to underscore what they know. But it sort of gets written into the history books now, that their son, their brother-in-law, their husband, and eventually their dad, when the kid gets old enough, it was recognized by the President of the United States as a hero. Wow. It helps. It doesn't remove the pain, or doesn't remove the fact you're not going to have a dad all your life, which is irreplaceable. But it helps. So thank you, President Trump, for going. And I'm not going to end with what I want to say about the other guy, because you know it's not a high note. But thank you, President Trump. Until now, we always referred to our former presidents as president. We didn't do former president until the sons of bitches in the media did it to Trump. It was always President Reagan. I was on the board, and everybody referred to him, Democrats and Republicans. It was always President Clinton. President Clinton, when I played golf with him after he retired. I didn't call him former President Clinton. God bless you, President Trump, on your mission to save our country. And we're with you. Pray for the repose of the soul of the officer, but also Mr. Voles, the man that nobody knows, but now you know him. He didn't have to die either. God bless America. To bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776. that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to